The James Hardie 1000, the big one. And it will be some battle. It beckons like some insatiable habit, a mind-numbing once-a-year tilt at one of the world's toughest motor races. The Marlboro Holden dealer team is sitting on an unprecedented straight trio of wins. They aim to give it all they've got to make it 4 in a row, or to go down fighting.
Harvey 23.33, Brock 21.76.
It's a great rollicking place. 7 kilometers long with a variety of corners. Some super fast, some slow. Hills and drops, and a straight where speeds reach out toward 300 kilometers an hour. This is a place for the skilled and daring. There are great rewards awaiting those who overcome its enormous obstacles. But those who fail, well, to some teams, that is the unthinkable. Teams have 3 days in which to sort out their machines for the race. Brock, who's been coming here for over 10 years, runs as few practice laps as possible, just enough to run in components, to check tyres and brakes, to make certain the sums add up the way they should. There's no sense in overstressing the car. 1,000 kilometers is a long journey. The Commodore feels just right. Finely balanced, attuned to the varying demands of the track. If the car is ready, so is the driver.
Well, I haven't been so hot. 90 degrees.
There's still a little way to go to the starter's flag. The day before, cold and wet. The sort of day any motor racing driver could do without. The calculations and answers of the past few days are suddenly in jeopardy. It's a whole new ball game. But Brock is calm about the drizzle and slippery track. It simply adds a new dimension to the business of seeking a win.
We haven't used that tyre in a race. At this stage we've elected to run the tyres knowing they'll last for sort of 80 or 90 laps if it rains tomorrow.
But you like the wet weather, don't you?
Yeah, don't complain at all. We haven't driven the car in the wet, but that doesn't mean much. I do like it, and I think that our cars will acquit themselves pretty well today.
The start order for the top 10 qualifiers is about to be decided. The cars will run alone against the clock. The prize for fastest qualifier is substantial, but the conditions are anything but safe, and it would be madness to suffer damage with the race less than 24 hours away. Brock has already decided to take no risks. Should he end with fastest time, well, that'll be perfectly acceptable. If not, there'll be ample time in the race itself to redress the balance. Brock readies for the run, noting that the track is becoming more slippery each moment. It's a situation fraught with great danger, and Brock determines to apply restraint, especially when it becomes obvious that some people are trying very hard indeed. So he makes his runs, and the clocks stop him on a time good enough for third position on the start grid. Exactly the same situation as the previous year when he won first time out in his Commodore. His team is happy. In the end, time just about runs out. Anyone who's not ready now never will be. Thankfully, the rain won't last. Race day is fine, if a little chilly. By the time the cars take their positions on the grid, all the original calculations have been dialed back in. All that's left is the race itself. And it promises to be hard fought. Although at this precise moment, no one knows just how hard.
63 laps of racing about to start, 1,000 kilometres for the James Hardie 1000. What must the drivers be thinking now? The crews have got everything organised. It's now left to the drivers as they sit there in the cars, some on the left-hand side, some on the right.
The great roaring circus surges away. It'll be a struggle of amazing dramas, ending with a brutal climax. But that's hours away. Now is the spectacle of the opening thrusts.
Into the braking area they go. Johnson braking hard, but it's Big Rev Kev in the lead for the Channel 9 car as he throws the car round the corner for the first time. And the only neat bloke was Brock round there. Moving up, passing Harvey is...
These first few kilometres are staggering in their impact. The bigger engined and faster qualifying cars of Dick Johnson and Kevin Bartlett can't get away from the Brock Commodore. In fact, and much to their surprise, he pushes through to the lead in the charge around the track. It's an enormous assault on the senses, an almost bewildering rush of colour and sound. The Commodore is giving away 50 horsepower to the other cars. Common sense says it can't lead them, yet it is. Brock and his nimble car are achieving the unexpected. Those watching this fierce battle can only presume that Brock is determined not to play a waiting game. The snapping, thrusting, pushing Commodore is out to make life difficult for Bartlett and Johnson. They rush down the straight again. Brock has pulled out 50 vital metres of breathing space, and if he can beat them to the bottom of the hill, it's possible he may have their measure. But as they roar into view, Brock's race has only seconds to run. The first great shock in a race of many shocks is about to occur. Inexplicably, the leading car slows. The bigger cars whip past. Something is obviously wrong. Bathurst has struck with sudden savagery at the one man who's tamed it better than any other, the man who's won here more times than anyone else. Marlboro chief mechanic Bruce Nowacki tells what's gone wrong.
Looks like he's broken the rear axle.
Are you going to try and fix it?
Yes, we're putting the car around the back because Harvey's running pretty good and we can't afford to fix it outside. It'll take too long.
So how long do you think you'll lose?
We'll lose a few laps unless there's something drastic happens with the leaders. We're not looking real good at the moment.
Bartlett and Johnson press on, their most feared opponents stranded in the pits, puzzled and confused about the trouble which has struck his car. The Marlboro Holden dealer team's hopes now rest with the second car of John Harvey. It's doubtful whether 05 will play any role in the final results. Harvey is in fourth, pacing himself and within easy reach of the leaders. While with each passing lap, the plight of Brock and his car becomes more impossible.
So I guess that some days it just doesn't pay to get out of bed. Over the last 2 years, the Commodore's been completely reliable, and it's most unlikely for the car to have anything like this to go wrong.
Well, this whole thing has come as a complete surprise, hasn't it?
Yes, one of these components has never broken before in a Commodore, and
So yes, it's a complete surprise.
When the car does resume, the leaders are far ahead. It's a bitter moment for the team members, and there's little solace in the fact that many other cars will also strike trouble. The Camaro of Bartlett collides with a midfield runner, and the impact is enough to ruin his chances. The incident has had little effect on Brock. He was many kilometres behind Bartlett, who in turn will now be well out of touch with the fleeing Johnson. Bartlett is furious. But he started this race knowing the odds of sudden mishap are always high at Bathurst.
I had to get it back to the pits, and of course, the distance I had to go to get it back to the pits, the tyre shredded, came apart, ripped all the brake lines off.
Harvey now moves up to a strong third. His team can only hope he stays clear of the problems starting to strike at opposition machines. The James Hardie 1000 is more than a tough race. It's a supreme test of many things. And as this race wears on, the pressure mounts. Jim Richards has relieved Brock. The repaired car is lapping faster than any other machine. The team can only reflect on what might have been. So it wears on. The drama and horror mount with increasing frequency. For the Marlboro Holden dealer team, one final blow is falling. Harvey has cannoned into a fence through no fault of his own, and the car is too badly damaged to continue.
So well, I thought I'd be in the lead in the next couple of laps. You know, for a stupid little thing like that to happen, I'm just totally disappointed. Not only from a personal point of view, but well, you know, the team put an awful lot of effort into the whole thing, and for one shot a year at Bathurst, and I mean, what else can I say? I guess that's motor racing.
No sense of panicking. We're just going to try and resurrect and do what we can. We'll whip 05 along as fast as we can all day. We've been giving the lap record a fair shake, so I guess it's all we can really do.
Brock does whip 05 along. While he seeks to show that the Commodore is the fastest car on the track, Johnson is finding out that the journey to victory is a long and hard one. The car's losing momentum, and the Morris Fitzpatrick machine is beginning to mount a challenge.
You have to go out again. Things are looking good, but, you know, it's very close. The Johnson French car is only a few seconds behind. I think 3 seconds at last count. And, you know, anything can happen. But it could be quite a finish. Still another 3 odd hours to go.
When the second place car does come in, its pit stop is anything but smooth and orderly. There are suspicions that all is not well here either. The desperate and flurried activity raises a lot of questions. The issue is by no means settled, and although there is still a long way to go, Johnson is bravely confident.
Dick, you must be very happy with the way the car is going.
Well, so far so good. There's still, you know, a fair way to go, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Have you got your fingers crossed?
It's not the only thing I've got crossed.
Do you see the Morris car as a threat?
Every car that's still running is a threat.
If he heard it, the irony of the remark would be lost on Brock. His furious stint at the wheel has hauled him from last and 61st place to 22nd. However, with 2 hours to go, he's under no illusions that the Commodore will be able to make the first 10. The mathematics of the situation are simple. Too much time has been lost. But regardless of the calculations, the team will fight it out to the end. Quite suddenly, in the most horrendous fashion, the James Hardie 1000 is about to be plunged into staggering chaos. It ends. The top of the track is blocked by a smouldering, battered pile of wreckage. Arguments will rage for years about what happened. The only clear thing is that the race had to be stopped, and that Johnson and his partner John French have been declared the winners. The result may be clouded in controversy. The gloss of being first over the line in an accident-shortened race may not be there, but Johnson and French had driven well.
Probably heard the shout when the words were declared by Ivan Stibbard that the race had been officially declared finished and that Dick Johnson was the winner. A hell of a way to win a race, but you were front-running at the time, and I guess that's what counts.
Well, the car was looking really well, so who knows? You know, anything can go wrong, I know that, but it's a bad way to finish a race. It's very unlucky for the other guys that were involved in the incident up there.
It's someone else's turn to win the James Hardie 1000. Brock is philosophical.
Almost as if there was some big cloud of gloom cast upon Bathurst for the weekend.
What did you say about 13 before?
Yeah, it's my 13th Bathurst, and
Do you still like the place?
oh yeah.